So the iPhone XS has been out since 2018, and I wanted to make a little bit of a late 2018 review of this particular phone. Now, nothing super crazy. I just want to hit on how this phone has been holding up basically since the mid-year of this year. I have iOS 18 installed on this particular device, and I will tell you for the most part, it still is like a pretty solid device for the most part. Now, this phone came out in 2018. On the front side, you're getting this 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display. Now this is an aftermarket display on this thing, but it still looks pretty good. Like it's not too bad. If you go and kind of zoom in, I mean, the only thing that's kind of that even kind of sucks a little bit is that notch up top. But otherwise, it still looks pretty good. The lightning port at the bottom is a little bit outdated, but I love this gold color. I really miss this reflective side too. The current iPhone 16 Pros, as you can see, have this aluminum side that is non-reflective. The XS still has that reflective side, so body-wise, it still looks pretty good with the dual camera setup on the backside as well. Now, I do want to hit on the camera. I think the camera, for the most part, it's not terrible. You're getting 4K at 60 on the back. You're getting 1080p on the front side, so it's not terrible. You can still zoom in about 10x, which is actually very nice. That's the same amount of zooming in you get on the iPhone 16. So, but you're just missing out on that, ultra-wide setup. So there's no ultra-wide camera there, which kind of is a little bit worse, but it's not the worst thing ever. You're still getting video mode, slow mode, no cinematic mode inside of this phone, but I still think for the most part, it's still holding up fairly well. The only area where this phone maybe isn't the best in, there's two areas. One is the performance and one is software longevity. So if you're buying this phone in the later part of 2018, the main problem you're probably going to experience is that this phone is not going to be lasting that much longer. So as of right now, iOS 18 is the most recent version of software on this phone, and I have it on here, and it's pretty decent. It's kind of what I would have expected the oldest iPhone on iOS 18 to hold up and kind of perform as. The issue that we're having though is if we go and take a look at a calendar, right? The problem is that I don't even know how to pull up my regular calendar. What's going on? The problem that we're experiencing is that if you buy this phone anytime in late 2024, so if you're buying it from November, December, this phone is probably going to be done getting software updates probably around June of 2025. So by the time June 2025 comes around, this phone is probably going to be done getting software support. You might still get security updates here and there, but this phone is pretty much going to be done. So for if you're planning on keeping a phone for like the next 6 months, maybe this phone is fine. But if you're planning on keeping a phone for a longer period of time, this device probably isn't going to be the best device for you. I think from a performance perspective, from a features perspective, I think it's going to be okay. But know that this phone is not going to be getting things like Apple Intelligence. Any of the newer features that come out in the future, this phone is going to be missing out on as well. I think the performance overall isn't terrible. Again, it's about what you'd expect a 6-year-old phone to be performing as. So it's, as you can see, it's glitching even in Subway Surfers, which is not the, most intensive game of all time. But even in other games, like when you're going into more basic games, it's gonna, like if you're going into Genshin Impact or Roblox at high, graphics, it's going to be a little bit glitchy as well. I would say one of the worst areas about this phone is the battery life. On iOS 18, it definitely didn't help it. But now that these phones have aged batteries, that's definitely not going to be a good experience either. So I will probably tell you this phone, if we're looking at a scale of 1 to 10, the price tag of this one, because it's so cheap, it's a pretty decent device. But because it's almost done getting software updates and, because we're almost at its end of life, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to go and buy a phone like this, in my personal opinion. It makes a lot more sense to go and buy a phone like an iPhone 11 at the very least. Although this phone is still supported with software, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to buy it. So, in my personal opinion, that's kind of how I see the iPhone XS holding up in the later part of 2018. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.